right? So the forms are digital, but the governance is still manual, right? The data capture is automated, but decisions are happening offline or data is getting reconciled in Excel. In many cases, people are still acting as the integration layer between platforms. So it's not necessarily that companies aren't automating enough. It's maybe that they're automating the wrong layer, right? So in other words, they're automating tasks and not workflows. Manual oversight has historically been equated with safety. So instead of engineering controls into the workflow, additional review layers are added on top. Secondly, there's structural silos, right? So let's say quality in your lab and manufacturing and your R&T areas. If they're optimizing their own processes, but no one owns the end-to-end workflow, then handoffs continue to multiply, and you have these multiple software integrations. And third is legacy validation thinking, right? So when change feels heavy and burdensome, then teams are going to be hesitant to redesign their workflows. All AI did was really accelerate the front end of a broken workflow, right? You may save yourself a few hours of triage, but you didn't really make any impact to the overall cycle time of that particular workflow. You start getting real breakthroughs when you start integrating, let's say, your QMS and your lab data so that evidence gets attached to a record automatically, or you use AI to do risk-based routing, so lower level risks start taking shorter paths, or you embed controls into a workflow so that your review layers are triggered dynamically instead of sequentially. So when you start doing this, you start really getting the impact of the intelligent kind of workflow automation. The real cost of manual workflows, it's latency and variability. There's compliance overhead that'll grow every year, but most importantly, it's the opportunity cost. Your experienced experts, they're going to be spending time administering processes rather than exercising judgment.
It's not about which systems win. It's truly about what connects them. And that's where I think it's important to understand ServiceNow's architecture in this space. And when we think about the 4 layers, it's really the data layer. And that's really where it doesn't duplicate your systems of record. It actually federates them. We index structured, unstructured data, take it into a way so that when a deviation happens, you don't have to log into 5 different systems to understand what changed, or who touched them, or what those downstream impacts are. The compliance, it either lives or dies within a workflow. And that's what USDM is bringing. And what we are bringing to the table is the orchestration engine that's going to take that change request from initiation through impact assessment, through all of your cross-functional approvals, so that you can implement and validate anything that you're bringing into the platform, you're upgrading on the platform, and then more importantly, having this audit trail.
We wanted to lean into the ServiceNow platform to do so. But the first thing we needed to do is understand our processes. So I've heard that theme today. It's not technology first, it's process first. So we looked at all of the various processes in terms of validation, in terms of our legal information governance processes, privacy processes, and also tying into the cybersecurity processes. Many of those processes were looking for the same types of information, attributes within our applications. And so we wanted to leverage the ServiceNow platform to start there.
CSA principles actually accelerate automation adoption. When you focus on the validation effort on risk and not just documenting like every keystroke, you're really freeing up that capacity.
We have a top 3 pharma right now. If you take the simple case of data ingestion, we have a customer who's a top 3 pharma who's ingesting data as part of an M&A cycle. They actually went through this value analysis with us. When they're ingesting data as part of this BD cycle in post-merger integration, they did the analysis where that stage 1 took roughly 18 months. With almost no automations. By automating simple tasks, they got to somewhere around 12 months in that process of ingesting all the data that comes. Now, with actual workflow orchestration and actually extracting metadata and using that to create automations, going more end to end, they literally reduced that cycle time down from 18 months to 2 months. And they have not even turned on intelligent automations in that process yet.
Applications metadata, because that is the linchpin for the downstream controls. So like Vishaka mentioned, we don't validate everything. We don't apply controls for every single application, but we right size them So that's why our internal auditors are looking at that, because it starts there at the assessments. And so that's where I believe it made sense for us.
Before adding in any automation or any AI on top of that process, you really want to identify clear ownership of that particular workflow or process. Additionally, you want to make sure that your objective really is the optimization of that workflow, not necessarily the implementation of technology or the implementation of AI on top, right? The shining light that you're trying to go for is making that workflow work as efficiently and optimally for your organization.
That is a very good point and question and topic that is oftentimes overlooked. Is we're very focused on digitizing or automating our formerly Word files into workflows, into records, that we forget about what we need to extract for audit reasons. So I think dialing that into the implementation of these workflows, the validation, to make sure you have reports that are presentable, that have just enough information and not too much information, meaning we all know that now that these records are digitized, these workflows are automated, there is the metadata. I think it's important to incorporate that in your implementation, to say you have the data in your system. Now you need to be able to export it out of your system. And what does that look like?
If you don't have the right metadata in place, you'll never be able to scale it. Unless you can essentially start adding, a lot of human capital, which nobody wants to, or you start injecting AI, which we're not fully there yet. So I really believe that injecting, extracting, putting metadata-driven processes early on will really help you scale.
Technology is everywhere. We can automate anything, but what are we trying to accomplish? What is the intended use? What are our objectives? Are they clearly articulated throughout all levels of the organization? Program management was at the top for us. Secondly, strong partnership with USDM. USDM brings so much expertise to the table. We were able to bounce things off of each other and understand what kind of disrupt our process, think differently about our validation and our change management. So that was extremely helpful. And then I know it's been mentioned, but I'll mention it again, organizational change management.
The automation that scales is the automation that you didn't build yourself. And automation fails when it's treated like a project. And that's the whole notion of the tech debt, right? And any day, platform beats customization.
When we release some type of technology and automation or an AI tool, that we're not treating it like a one and done project, we're treating it like a product, and it's rolling into a right size SDLC life cycle for that particular product. So the process and the technology evolves as we're tracking performance metrics associated to that particular workflow or initiative.
We all have our areas of expertise, our areas of responsibility. But what I tell, people who ask, or my team, or even myself, is pay attention, listen to what's going on in the organization, be curious, ask questions, find out where the pain points are, find out where the opportunities are there to address. Technology is available, but asking the right questions and listening for the right information to see where can we fit in.
Intelligent automation is not about doing more faster. It's about designing workflows that reduce risk while improving the process. There's more cross-organizational input required today, and organizations that rethink how workflows across quality and IT and operations are not just becoming more efficient, they're becoming more inspection ready by design.